Hey y'all, I'm JamesWright and welcome back to Wizards News. Today I want to talk about how you can choose the foundables you want from your fortress. I did a video on this a little while ago, but we had some new information that should make this a little bit easier and more clear. I hope you're all having fun out getting your werewolves for this month, and if you haven't noticed, they are available right now, so you have about 4 days now where you can actually go out and get them, so have fun at night. A couple weeks ago, I did a video on a pattern that we seem to have found in Tower Level 1. It was a way to try and improve the Exploration Foundables you got from a fortress. So we're not talking about the normal Challenge Foundables. You always get a Challenge Foundable from a fortress battle, but sometimes you can also get an Exploration Foundable, and you can choose which one by the runestone you use. To show you what I'm talking about, I want to come over here to the Orange Wizard's Instagram account, and if you don't follow him, use one you probably should. He makes all of these infographics that are phenomenal with a great amount of information on them. But one I want to show you, this one, is the one that shows you the Exploration Foundables you can get in a fortress. So if you use Dark Arts, you have a chance of getting the Nocturne Alley sign, the Magic is Might sign, or Tom Riddle's Tombstone. And that is the three possibilities right now you can get from going into a fortress with a Dark Arts runestone. There is one addition to this. The Magical Games and Sports doesn't have the Gryffindor banner, which you can now also get. So there are 4 possibilities for that one. Most of these, there are 3 different possibilities that the runestone will give you. But then down here with the oddities, you only have the bow or the egg. So you have a 50-50 chance of getting one of the 2 of them when you go into a fortress with an oddities runestone. I'll leave a link to this page in the description below if you want to see more on it. The problem with that is that there is a low chance that you're actually going to get one of the Exploration Foundables in a fortress, or at least it seemed like that at first. Especially with doing the low runes chambers, you would get like a 1 in 4 chance or something around that. It meant that you had to use a lot of runestones in order to get one of the Exploration Foundables. So if you want the Nocturne Alley sign, that means you have a 1 in 3 chance of getting one of those 3, but then that means you also have a 1 in 4 that you're going to get any. So 3 times 4 is 12, so that means a 1 in 12 chance that you're going to get the Nocturne Alley signs. So you have to do, on average, 12 wizarding challenges in order to get 1 Nocturne Alley sign. And so that means you have to go through a lot of Dark Arts runestones in order to get that. That is that's a drudgery. But a pattern seemed to come out a couple weeks ago where someone found that if you did 2 challenges in Tower 2 with the runestone you wanted, and then you did 2 challenges with something else, and then you went back to 2 challenges with what you wanted, then you would always get what you were wanting. And that seemed to work really well for some people, and some people it really didn't. And then I went out and tested it, and I found that if I did 2 challenges with what I wanted, and then 1 challenge with something else, and then 2 challenges with what I wanted, and then 1 challenge with something else, then I always got what I wanted on that stone. At least I did for the first 5 or 6 times I tried it, and then it didn't always happen, and sometimes I would get something else and sometimes I wouldn't, and it was kind of confusing because the reports we were getting back from it were very, very mixed, and everyone is going to have different reports. And then the question was, depending upon what runestone you use and how does this work out with other things, there were just a lot of questions and a lot of testing to be done, and all of the tests coming back were giving a lot of noise in the data, and we weren't able to actually pin down, was this method working, or was it just random chance, or how did this all come about? I decided then I needed to go out and do a larger test on how exactly do fortresses drop items. Now, that being said, there are a lot of variables in this, in that there are runestone levels, and there are fortress levels, and there is does it come into consideration if you are a professor, magizoologist, or? Then some people might say the time of day or the weather outside. And so there are many, 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 many variables that can come into this. And I tried to eliminate as many as possible by just doing it with runestone 1, and then marching down the chambers and seeing what I got from different chambers. I also try to do them all at the same time of day, and I am a professor, and so that eliminates a lot of the variables, but what I found was kind of interesting. So basically, I went in with a level 1 runestone on all of the chambers that I could easily do. Runes Chamber 1, Runes Chamber 2, Runes Chamber 3, and so every one of these was 10. And the first several go really quickly, and you start getting to some of the towers, and they go a little slower, and then you start getting down to fortresses, and you're using a lot of potions. And so I didn't go any farther than Forest 1 because it would just take too many potions at the time time where I'm currently at. And I recorded 10 of each level with level 1 runestones. And what I found out is that in the runes chamber, the odds were all pretty close, 30%, 20%, 30%, 20%, somewhere in that range. So it averaged out to about 26% of the time you get an Exploration Foundable from one of the runes chambers. So then I came down here to Tower to see what was the difference, and we found the pattern in Tower 1. And if you look at this, it actually kind of holds up to the pattern somewhat. You can see that if I did this, I would have gotten a reward on the first one, and I wouldn't. And then I would switch, and I would have gotten a reward and a reward. And I would switch back, and I would have gotten a reward, and I would have gotten a reward. And then I'd switch back, and then and so you can kind of see how the pattern would produce a positive benefit, but the pattern doesn't have anything to do with how they're actually dropping. And so then I went on to Tower 2 and Tower 3 and Tower 4 and Tower 5. And on all of those, I found pretty close to the same percentage. They were all dropping 70 or 80% of the time. It came out to about 74% of the time something dropped in the tower levels. Okay. And then we jumped up here to Forest 1. And in there, I got something almost every single time, with the exception of the fourth time, at a 90% rate. And so I really do want to fill out the rest of this, though I haven't had the chance to actually go and do it. So it looks like the drop rate has more to do with which section of the fortress you are in than any particular pattern you might follow. But the other interesting thing is it doesn't seem to be a linear jump up from level to level to level. It seems like the jump happens at each of the big intersections in the fortress. So there's a big section between runes and a big section in towers, and then the whole big section of forest. I want to see if this continues farther down, and if anyone out there can actually grind out those lower ones and do it without burning too many potions. I'd love to see the data from that. So what this is telling me is that there is no pattern to the system. It is just an odds that you happen to get it. And the odds grow higher by each section of the fortress you go into. Now, all this being said, 10 challenges in each level is a very, very small sample size, and it could be that I just got the random end of the odds, and who knows, it's something completely different. I do intend to keep doing more challenges and keep adding more data to this list. I would like to get a bigger sample size so that we can get a more accurate. Does it actually increase a little bit from chamber to chamber, or is it just each section of the fortress, or am I getting just random odds that happen to be really weird at this particular time when I did it? Now, just as a reminder, all of this was done with number 1 runestones, and I tried to make a random mix of what runestones I was using and what types, but they were all level 1 runestones. Does it make a difference if I use Dark Arts as opposed to Magizoology? I don't know. I didn't want to spend 110 of one particular type of runestone, because then I'd have 110 of all other 9 out there, and I don't have that much coin to drop on this right now. So if you do go out there, if you can keep track of what your results are, I'd love to actually add those to the list here, and we can get a larger sample size. That would be a huge help. So as of right now, if I go out there and I'm trying to get those Exploration Foundables from the fortresses, I'm going to be doing Tower Level 1. This data is clear enough for me that it says Tower Level 1 is the place to go, because it is the lowest level where I'm not going to be spending a crazy amount of resources, but I'm still getting that average of around 75% of the time getting a Foundable from that chamber. So as of right now, I have to go against what I said earlier. I don't really see a particular pattern that works. And even when I did think there was a pattern, it was something that a few people found and a few people didn't find, and some people found that a slightly different pattern worked, and it may just be the human brain trying to see a pattern in the statistics. And when there's a big jump up from around 25% to 75%, then it suddenly appears that a pattern appears when you get into that tower level. And so a lot of people were seeing a pattern in there and playing with it. I think that was just the human sensibility to try and find a pattern. So as of right now, with the data I have, I'm going to say there is no pattern. It is just what section of the fortress you are on. And I hope this helps you out and makes it a little bit easier for you. If you have more information, I'd love to hear that. As of right now, things are always changing. We are still early in this game, and there's a lot more data to be collected and a lot more information to be answered, because it is kind of fun. There are a lot of variables that go into this. It's not a very simple, easy, clear-cut game. And that's really one of the things I love about this, because there are a lot of these little details that come into it and make it very enjoyable to try and figure out and play around with it. So I hope you like this. If you did, please let me know down below. And also, if you get more information or you want to add to this list, please send that my way. I would love to add more data to the list and get a bigger sample size. If you did like the video, please hit like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell, become a patron on Patreon. All those things really do help the channel and means a lot to me. Thank you for that. I think that's about for now. And until next time, have a magical day. So what exactly are the odds of me getting a Dumbledore here? Probably pretty low because we got a Rowena Ravenclaw.